This is a WKYT podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Conversations
with Victor and Andrea.
There you go. Put the whole thing in there. Andrea, I've noticed something going back and listening to all of our episodes because I listen to them a couple of times when I edit them and then when they come out just to make sure that they're sounding all right. Whenever we're talking, my country accent is coming out progressively more and more. Something I thought I had under control. But then I hear myself talk on here, and I'm just like, wow.
I feel like you're blaming me for this.
I'm not saying it's all your fault, but I do feel like having you directly in my ear, just unfiltered, is having an effect on me.
I'm sorry. And I feel the same way with Jim Caldwell.
Oh, that may have been it.
It's like
probably,
he gets in my ear, I get in your ear.
We talked to him too early. I listened to the both of you all at the same time, and it's infected me. Because I thought I had my eyes under control. You know, my lights, my rights.
Oh, I hit it bad the other day. WKYT.
Oh, boy.
Oh, it was bad. Oh, update. I finally watched Ready Player One.
Oh.
Which we've been talking about, since episode 1?
Yes.
Or
since
2?
episode Ready Player One. We've been talking about it. So
I loved it.
Yeah?
It was so good. And it is really different from the book.
Yes.
But it has the same feel of the book.
Yeah.
Which I've never seen a movie do that, where like they stray from the book, but it still feels like the book.
That was the thing. I enjoyed the additions.
I did too.
The Shining sequence.
Yeah.
I really liked that.
Steven Spielberg, I mean, he's just got a gift.
He's great. The only issue I had was that he didn't want to put too many references to his own stuff in there since he was the director. But I feel like he should have just gone hog wild because, I mean, the source material was,
some Jurassic Park
kind of an homage
stuff,
to him.
Nietzsche stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, it was great. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And now Jim Caldwell has it, and whenever he finishes it, we'll come back on for another movie podcast with Jim because people seem to like that one.
Oh gosh, of course they did. He's a hoot. He's a mess.
A hoot and a mess. That could describe a lot of us.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I don't remember who it was, but my producer Noah showed me this. Someone described the Golden Globes as woke but sleepy.
Nice.
I was like, and we both were like, "That's me. I'm woke but sleepy."
You're not doing too much
on a
about
daily
it. You're just
basis.
like, yeah.
I'll give Noah credit for that one. He showed me that, and I was like, "That speaks to me." Anyone on my shift probably feels the same way.
Fantastic. All right, let's talk about today's show. We are talking to Shelby McCuddy, your executive producer.
Yes.
He has to deal with you a lot more than I do.
Yes, poor guy.
What's that like?
I love Shelby. I really do, and I've been looking forward to this. And we get into it in the podcast, but he has a family member. No, not that. That's our number one fan.
Oh, okay, yeah, that too.
A couple family references.
You've got a couple connections to his family now, and
gosh.
I didn't think we were going to get into all of them, but we did because apparently we have no filter on here. So that's
Shelby
good.
just threw me right under the bus.
Which I enjoyed.
Of course you did.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be a major feature, I hope, from now on, is one of us getting thrown under the bus
That's a good tease.
at any given time.
That's a good tease. I am embarrassed in this podcast.
I'm embarrassed by our podcast, but that's a whole
Sometimes, yes.
So Shelby, morning producer, he oversees all the morning shows up through 10.
Yep.
And he does a lot of good work here, and so we're excited to have him on and talk with him about how he got into the. He's like us, someone who's local who ended up working for station that he's watched. So here, that's there's some
a lot of construction going on, so that's going to be a theme throughout the podcast.
To that too. Yeah, we actually got kicked out of our normal recording studio for an executive meeting, and now we're in one of the side rooms. But I think things still went okay.
There you go.
Hello, everyone. We've begun another podcast. Andrew's very excited.
I am very excited because we have a different podcast for you today. We've had photographers, we've had sports, we've had news, but we have yet to have a producer. I guess Dick Gabriel is kind of a producer as well. He wears many hats. But today we have my executive producer for the morning show, Shelby McCuddy.
Ooh.
Hello, Shelby.
Hello.
He's just like, yep, I feel like I'm going to be interrogated. What is your exact title?
Executive producer.
Okay.
I got it right.
All right, good. I never know what anybody's title is.
I know, it's true.
I feel like everything's floating around. All right, Shelby, we'll get started. So tell us first off what shows you produce, just kind of exactly what all you do here. Because it's not, you don't just produce shows, you're kind of a figurehead as far as the morning goes.
Yeah, I don't produce anything on a good day. I oversee the 4:30 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 10 a.m., and the noon.
So if something goes wrong, it all falls back on you.
Basically.
Yes. And I know that Bill Bryant gets a lot of text messages, or you get a lot of them from him, because Bill is very big on chain of command. So Shelby is the manager. So if Bill has a complaint, it always goes to Shelby. And I feel so bad for you every morning.
Every morning at 4:11 on the dot, I get a phone call from Bill.
You know what? This is actually a good topic. Talk about Bill's little quirks.
Oh man, where to begin? I mean, he's very timely. He's in a routine, and he sticks to that routine every morning. It's 4:11 on the dot. Sometimes, occasionally 4:12, but if it gets to 4:13, I know to be worried.
Isn't that hilarious? And you're dead serious.
Oh, absolutely. I've had to call him before. One time he got pulled over on the way to work. He didn't get a ticket, but he got pulled over.
Of course he didn't get a ticket. He's Bill Bryant.
And he was late for his phone call, and he almost missed.
I remember that morning, and he was very distraught. It threw off his whole day because everything is so regimented.
Meanwhile, my producer is like, well, it's 15 minutes to show. Victor will be here.
That's more faith than they have in me. Trust me. Poor Shelby, you've had to wake me up more than once.
I've had to wake you up, and I have to go in the women's bathroom every morning and plug in your curlers.
You do it?
That's part of your job.
So I always text Noah and Kelsey and ask them to do it. But is it you?
No, I usually delegate.
Oh, you delegate. That's your job. All right, so we haven't dug deep into what a producer does. So for people that, maybe aren't in the news industry, kind of talk about what your role is. Because you've done producing. Now you're an executive producer, so you've done both.
Right. Whenever I explain what I do to anyone outside of the business, I just break it down to I write what they read. And that's an oversimplification. I know reporters, you guys write a lot of stuff, your stories as well. Producers, we write most of what the anchors read. If it's not a reporter doing it, then it's a producer who is writing it. We also make decisions about what goes into each newscast and how we call it stacking, like what order stories go in and how high up weather should be. And so there's a lot of creativity about like the way the product looks on air, different graphics. What can we do to make this look more appealing? And that's what producers do.
You all are kind of like the linemen in football. If things go right, nobody knows about it. But if things go wrong, you guys will sometimes get a lot of the blame.
Right.
If there's an awkward transition between a horrible story and then you've got to, all right, well, now the sun is shining and suddenly, you'll just give the producer a look and like, why did that happen?
Yeah, and that's all stacking and trying to make it so that stories flow between each other.
Now, is producing what you wanted to do?
Yeah, I mean, ever since I got into journalism, producing is what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do for a long time. Out of high school, I waited 3 years before I went to college.
I didn't know this about you.
Did a lot of different things in between there.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up here. I'm from Lexington.
Okay.
I went to Bryan Station High School and then to Lafayette High School. Then waited 3 years to go to college. Just didn't know what I wanted to do. And then started 2 years at a community college and then the UK for journalism.
When you started college, did you start as on the broadcasting path, or did you find that while you're doing other stuff?
While I was in college. So I was just trying to knock out some gen ed classes at BCTC. And after a year there, they had a journalism class. I signed up, got hooked, went to UK to do that.
And the rest is history.
Yeah, I graduated in December and started at WKYT in January next year. So.
That's interesting to me because I really do look at this podcast would be a great resource. If I were in school in the journalism program, I think this would be good to listen to people's experiences. And I like that you mentioned, because so many people are like this, you didn't know what you wanted to do. So what did you do in those 3 years? That's interesting to me.
I worked a lot of odd jobs, nothing really particular. I moved to New York, lived in New York City for a year.
Did you live in a box?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we paid $1,400 a month for that box.
Oh my gosh.
And that was many years ago. But yeah, I lived in Manhattan and worked at J. Crew and worked at some restaurants. Sold a bikini to Sarah Jessica Parker.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
Was Matthew Broderick with her?
No. But she came out and I was like, I think you need to try this one on and this one on and this one on. No, I'm kidding.
That would be wise. Oh my gosh.
Your
Sex
mom
and the
listens to
City.
this podcast, right?
Oh, I know. She's told me.
Yes, Shelby's mom is our number one fan.
I think that's how I got roped into this.
I love
It
it.
didn't hurt that she kind of put the bug in her ear.
Can we tell this story, please?
Go for it, sure.
No, it's not my story to tell. You're the one that got the email.
So a couple of episodes ago, I had recommended a podcast that I enjoy called the Apocryphals, and it's a podcast by two atheists who are discussing the Bible kind of in a scholarly way, but they're very respectful of it. And your mother had emailed me asking about the recommendation for the podcast where two athletes talked about the Bible. And
so close.
I felt bad. I was like,
But she was listening though. Still,
yes.
You have to listen to know that kind of information.
That was the thing, and I was very glad. I was like, so thank you for listening. I really do appreciate it.
I need to teach her that she can just rewind it a little bit.
It's not all in one go.
Right.
That's so cool.
You can replay it as many times as you want.
So does your mom watch the news in the morning? Is she proud of you for this?
She is very much. She used to be a loyal 18 fan. And then,
for shame.
Yeah, and so I started working here, and she's made the conversion.
Switched over. Yeah. Nice.
As she should.
Victor, that Andrea and I are basically related now.
Oh my gosh, you are not
I
saying
heard
this.
Yes, no, let's go.
No,
so did you all go on a double date? Did that happen?
We sure did. Yeah, my mom for a long time has been wanting to hook up my brother with Andrea.
This is the best.
I'm so embarrassed.
He was in town for the holidays, and Andrea had been nagging me. She's
like,
you've got to make this happen.
Can you not?
Well, if you've listened to previous episodes, her love life has been a hot topic.
Oh, see, I listen. I've done some research.
Cold
I know.
Topic.
Yeah. Well,
hot topic is generous.
Hopefully your brother doesn't listen because
yes, please don't let him listen.
I don't want him to get the sense of desperation that has been constant through the podcast. A lot of it we're just playing up for comedic effect. It's not true.
Of course.
I gave him realistic expectations going into it.
That's good.
Wait, what did you say going into it? Now I'm even more intrigued.
We can't discuss that here.
All right, that's good. But he doesn't live around here, though, right?
No, he's in school. He's right now living in Morgantown.
All right.
He's got another 6 months there.
We'll keep you updated.
Well, I was going to say, there'll be constant updates then. So tell us about your family. You've got a wife?
Yeah, I got a lovely wife.
Little ones?
Yep, Jackie.
Oh my gosh.
We have two beautiful kids, ages 4 and 2. Man, Victor, it goes by so fast.
That's what people keep telling me. And here, I know this is cruel, but every time there's some sort of little milestone, like now my daughter is crawling, she's getting around, and every time that happens, my wife is like, oh no, she's just growing up. And I'll look at her and I'll go, yeah, any day now I'm going to be walking her down the aisle.
Oh my gosh, Victor!
And she's like, stop
That's
it!
Horrible.
No, but here's the thing. I think the one advantage of being an older parent is that you've seen enough people, raise their kid, or who keep telling you. So I am very cognizant. I'm very in the moment. Like every morning when I'm holding my daughter, I'm looking at her and I'm aware that someday I'm going to be looking back at that and wishing I was in that moment again. So I'm very aware, and so but I believe you, Shelby, that it does just shoot right by.
Now your son has been on one of the shows with us before.
Yeah,
he made pizza on the Fox show.
He's done it twice now. Yeah.
Yeah.
He loves it. He loves coming to KYT and love going down to see the set and everything.
And then I finally got to meet Charlie the other day. I think I saw her when she was like a baby, but she came in and she speaks now very clearly.
She does, yeah. She's very impressive with her verbal skills.
She is. She enunciates better than any child I've ever met in my life.
So what is it like having this schedule and also taking care of the kids? What does your wife do?
She works at UK.
Okay.
She's got a 9 to 5. It works out pretty good for taking care of the kids. It does not work out well for me seeing my wife ever. She gets off at 5 and she's like home by 5:30. We try to sit down and eat dinner, and then I try to go to bed by 7. So not a whole lot of time there for me and her. But my mom actually helps take care of Charlie until I get off at noon, and then I go pick Charlie up.
Which I bet she likes.
Yeah, she does. She when I've talked about people in this business move around a lot.
Yeah.
I could have moved several times, and I haven't because all of our family's here. And my mom would never let me move.
Wouldn't let you. That sounds like my mom.
She holds that over my head.
That's one thing that we all have in common, because I think a lot of people watch, especially if they watch the news for a couple of years, they'll see faces come and go, come and go, come and go. And it seems to be the case for a lot of people that they're trying to get to I tell people whatever the biggest city is near where they grew up. That's what I
Yeah.
see a lot of people. And we've had people who worked here who moved to Cincinnati. I mean, it's not that big of a jump, but at the same time, they're closer to home.
Right.
And so that same way to Louisville, or you have people. And so for all of us, we're at the biggest state, at the biggest market where we grew up. So our incentive to take off isn't as there as as it is for other people.
I think so many people, when you first graduate, you're like, I want to make it to the biggest market that I can, but it doesn't matter.
That's the thing, you start to
You
realize.
gotta go where
it's
you're
kinda-
happy.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, that's what's more important to me.
And so I'm kind of if I were to move, my mom would not be happy.
You better not. I wouldn't be happy. I'm not allowing it.
When I started here, I never had any aspirations of moving up to bigger cities. I just wanted to move up here where I am.
Yeah.
Which
And
you've
you
done.
have.
Yeah, I was gonna say joining management. I mean, that's kind of. How did that work out to go from what show did you start on?
I started doing the 5:30 p.m. and the Fox. I did that for about a year, and then moved to mornings. Is when Ben Fain was here. I was doing the 5 a.m. and Ben was doing the 6. And then Ben left, and I was doing the 5 a.m. and the 6 a.m.
There's a constant producer shuffle, just like there's a reporter shuffle. I mean, people are constantly sliding around. Working the weekends, I've had 5 different producers now on the
wow.
weekend mornings, and they come in. Some of them have never worked news before. Some of them just learning it. And about the time they start getting it down, boop, they're off to another shift, and somebody
They
new
get
comes
good
in.
and they're
Yeah,
gone.
that's pretty much it. I get to work with them a few months while they're real good, and then it's like, well, all right, there they go.
Well, you help mold them. And
Exactly.
train them
That's
to
what I
get
like
ready
to.
for
Yeah,
something else.
I've helped them
If
all.
you can work with Victor, you can work with anyone.
That's the test. We'll see if they survive, Victor. So then, how did you make the switch from being a producer to being executive producer?
I don't know.
How did they? That's like at what point did they go?
happy accident.
Oh, we trust this guy.
Yeah. So Delana was here. She was the EP for a long time, and then she left, and they needed someone else to fill that role, and I was just the next man up. Really, I think is how.
Longevity.
Yeah.
That's how. Yeah. When people ask me like, how'd you end up, anchoring? I'm like, I just
Just been here
outlasted
a
some
long
people. Yeah.
There you go. It's like Survivor.
So what is a normal day like for you now? Like you said, you got here. What time do you get here in the morning?
I get here at 3 a.m. And then it's even on slow days, it's just go. The producers who work overnight, they've been here since 11 p.m. or midnight. They've already done a lot of the heavy lifting on getting the show ready to go on the air. I come in and just help make judgment calls. This is what I think we should be covering this morning. Let's do it this way. Help deploy our resources in a certain way. And just constantly looking for news, scouring the internet, Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff.
Looking over the shows, seeing how, as you said, how they're stacked. Because especially sometimes if you have newer producers, they might not realize, you need a certain amount of harder news here, lighter news here, just that kind of stuff.
Yep, and always checking for grammatical errors. There's anything that might trip up the anchors or supers if they're misspelled on screen. So.
And the other thing you have to deal with, I guess, is each anchor has their own quirks as far as what they like
Never.
in a script, what they don't like in a script. So we have a thing on the weekends where a lot of the news in the mornings is the producer will take stuff from the 11 o'clock because it's one guy doing 2 hours of news.
Yeah.
So that's a lot to fill. So he'll sometimes take stuff from the 11 and slide it in. And Angela, she really likes like ellipses at the end of a sentence, which I guess a lot of anchors do. Just like, is that 3 periods?
Yes.
Is that ellipses? Okay.
Uh-huh.
I'm real bad with grammatical stuff too. Anyway, so she really likes that. So at the end of, to show her when to pause. Whereas I don't like anything in there. I feel like I come up with my own pauses pretty well on the fly. So whenever I see them, it will trip me up. I think it's the end of a sentence. And so I'll...
The ... Why would you put a ... at the end
I
of a
don't.
sentence?
Well, no, but sometimes, especially when it's rolling up through the feed, if you haven't read ahead of time, sometimes I'm generally pretty good about
We
it.
don't do that.
But so sometimes it'll trip me up. So I will tell producers just please take them all out, or I'll go in. I try to take them all out myself. But so that's just kind of an issue of a quirk that you have to deal with. All these anchors, a bunch of divas wanting different things, and suddenly you've got to try to keep in mind who likes what, who doesn't like what.
Yeah.
Especially
There are
Your words, not
divas
mine.
behind the scenes,
yeah, no, I'm
too.
the one saying that, not.
No, but here's my lead into this. So we have 2 producers in the mornings right now that are characters, and they'll
They'll be on here at some point, but yes, divas.
And then you have to have them on here. As a
They're going to
team.
be. Oh, they are going to be on
That's
here
what
together.
we said. We're like, we have to have them together. Noah and Kelsey, they're a package deal. So what are they like, Shelby? Because I bet they'll listen to this.
Well,
Now's your chance.
They're different animals, but
They're very young.
they are. Right. This is their first job in news. They are young, but they're very talented. I enjoy working with both of them. Now they're gonna hold that over my head.
Both of them.
They'll hold everything.
Both of them were my
against you.
producers on the weekends. Both of them came. They came in, and then like Noah left, and then I had Kelsey, and then Kelsey left. And I remember it was whenever Kelsey was new, Noah would email her throughout the show because he was still watching to make sure the show was still go. And I had to actually send him a message and be like, "Dude, stop emailing her. You're freaking her out. We'll take care of it." And now the two of them are like peas in a pod. And so it's been interesting to watch that relationship grow.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of sass in the morning.
Oh my gosh.
So much sass.
Yeah, but it's all in good humor.
But it's also good to have a lot of different viewpoints, because especially if you have people who've been here forever or who are, kind of an older generation, to have younger people to kind of look at things from a different. I mean, that's one of the things I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it's always good to have, like we do at our station, people who have been here for a long time, just because you know the area so well, you know what plays well here. Someone from the outside may not know that. And I mean, I like just having women in the morning shows. I mean, our target audience, in the morning is moms getting ready for school. So I like having more women working in the morning, and we get that with Kelsey and others.
Yeah. If you hear any banging, I think they're doing something
Construction.
going on.
We aren't in the room we normally.
It's me banging my head against the table. I'm so tired. Do you hit a breaking point? Because I hit a breaking point at some time during the day where, like, after I get done anchoring, my brain is just mush. Does that happen to you? You're not allowed to have that.
Right.
happen.
It's usually when I get home that I just hit a wall. I drink 3, sometimes 4 cups of coffee a day, just to make it through. But yeah, it's usually about 7, 8 o'clock at night when I just hit a wall.
Just out. I used to have that when I worked the morning shift. I felt like I always had the start of a cold. I always felt like I had the start of a little bit of a head cold. Like I was always just kind of foggy. Sometimes I would accidentally fall asleep at 2 o'clock and sleep till 6.
Oh,
and then
I do
wake
that.
back up. And then you realize you still need
do.
to sleep for a couple more hours. It's kind of a mess. So
I'm a morning person. I mean, nobody is a 3 a.m. person. But
yeah, I was going to say, that's not the morning.
Right. It's really easy for me to just get up and go. I'm awake just about as soon as I hop out of that shower. I'm ready to go. Winding down is hard for me sometimes, but I've always enjoyed mornings. I'll tell you, I filled in on like a regular 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 shift here. After doing my shift for so long, the regular shift sucks.
Really?
I hate getting off at 6 o'clock at night.
At night, and it's dark, and suddenly the whole day is
right.
just
It's
gone.
dark, and I don't have time to do anything.
Right.
I mean, theoretically, long term, like it would end up being better for my family once my kids are older and in school. And they've got after school activities and that kind of thing, and that's something I've talked about, wanting to eventually be on that shift. But right now, man, it sucks.
So
if you leave, I'm going with you. Whichever shift you're on, I'm going.
So what part of what do you enjoy about the job? Is it just being involved in the decision making? Is it seeing a little bit of it? Because for me, it's just a little bit of everything as far as.
You mean like producing or just journalism?
Just journalism in general.
Yeah, I just like being in the know. I really like holding people accountable. That was a real big draw for why I got into this. And then just being able to tell people stories. I never wanted to be in front of the camera. I just always liked being behind the camera and making all the decisions about how to tell those stories and what stories to tell. And that's what I like about it.
So one thing about growing up around here is you are now working with people, and in some cases in charge of people who you grew up watching. What's that like?
It was surreal at first. I was intimidated by some of the anchors, Bill and Barb. I'll tell you, I mean, I still kind of am intimidated by them. I don't think I'll ever not be. But we have a working relationship, and we get along great with each other, and I can tell them anything, and they feel the same way about me, I think. So it's become less of a challenge, but it's always still there. It's just we really respect these people.
Was there anyone that you were most nervous? Like I said, mine was Rob Bromley, which I don't understand why I was so intimidated by Rob Bromley. But
mine was Barb.
Was yours was Barb? Was yours Barb or Bill or Sam?
Well, I'll work with Bill.
Mm-hmm.
We have a closer working relationship than I do with Barb. So, yeah, I am always intimidated by Bill. Still that way. But yeah, I mean, we get along fine now.
Yeah, that's good. Now, here's one question I always wonder. Like, when you work really hard on a script and we screw it up, how mad do you get in the booth?
It depends.
Because you're like, I wrote that perfectly?
It depends. Like, sometimes I could see that, like, you're just stumbling over it. And, you know, you might be right. Like, the structure of the sentence doesn't
Makes sense
flow
when you-
very well.
When you
In
read
your
it,
head it does,
when you read
yeah.
it in your head, but then when you're saying it sometimes.
Right. And so those I can always, you know, I'll eat that.
Yeah.
But then
It's
when,
it's
but when it works
oftentimes
really
our
well,
fault.
Or when they just didn't read the script ahead of time
Yeah.
and they're just
Yeah.
stumbling because there's a weird name that they didn't bother to learn. Andrea, sometimes that'll throw you off.
and with names, I mean, that's always like, you know, I always try to remember to give you a heads up about
Right.
the names.
The
But
name.
yeah, if it's just you just tripping over it, then yeah, it's always just like, come on.
I know. Oh, I would be so mad because I used to produce back in the day, and I would co-anchor with the guy I was producing for.
And the dog. You co-anchored with
And
the
the
dog.
dog, but I didn't write any scripts for him. But yeah, it would drive me crazy. I'm like, whoa, that was not how you're supposed to deliver that. And you're good at puns. A lot of people can't pull that off, but you do it well. And I remember Kristen was filling in one day, and she immediately knew that Shelby had written a script.
Because it was funny.
Yeah, because yes, it was. Do you remember the line? I bet you do.
Can you just write something?
I remember it.
All right, here it is.
Romaine calm during the romaine lettuce.
Oh, let us take
Recall
care
the
of
E.
it.
coli. Yes, romaine calm.
Let us take care of it.
Let us take care of it. See, that's good. That's good writing, people.
You're very easily impressed.
That's so mean.
No, it's funny. I like it.
It
That's
is
the kind of stuff
funny.
I would enjoy, getting to say. Romaine calm.
Yeah, but
And
see,
she
you can
called me out
easily
on
deliver
air.
that line terribly.
That's right.
Oh, you're just like, Romaine calm, and let's go. Oh, wait.
I get it now.
That was a pun.
Yeah,
Just
I
stop in
get
the middle
it
of your
now.
reading. Yeah.
I love it. So, what were you like before you got into news? What were you like in high school?
I mean, I was never a great student, honestly.
What?
Yeah. I just didn't try very hard. But when I started going to Lafayette, I got more heavily involved in drama, and I really enjoyed that. I was involved in drama and speech in high school, and that just like I found a niche there. I found a group of friends that common interests, and I mean that was what got me through high school.
What roles did you play?
Nothing big. I don't sing, so just always
What is your mother's name?
minor speaking roles. Laura.
Laura, we need to talk. I need footage. I want to see these.
Oh, I feel bad now. Like I've opened up Pandora's box.
I
shouldn't
know.
mention that.
No,
I'm
it
sorry,
was funny.
Shelby.
It's a
Sorry I
good
did that to
story.
you. So moving forward, I guess you've talked about potentially switching positions as the kids get older. I mean, what are your goals news-wise? 'Cause that's one of the things people always ask me, like, what do you want to do next? And I'll go, I don't know. I kind of got where I am, and I didn't expect to get this far.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like I don't have any expectations really. I just there aren't very many positions ahead of me. There's not. I can't go up much more than I am now. So it's really just about like riding this wave and see it where it takes me. Management is great about working with you for different shifts or whatnot. I mean, there's a possibility that I could end up doing this for 5 more years or something, or I might be able to work alongside our assistant news director during the day. There's never a lack of things to do. So we may create a position. I don't know.
But at
Yeah.
the same time, the company that we work for owns a lot of TV stations.
That's
So
right.
if management positions open up other places, is that something that you all are aware of? Or
Yeah, I mean, we don't have any plans.
Yeah.
Wouldn't want to move anytime soon. Maybe 15 years from now. That's a long time away. But once our kids are older and through school or almost through school, then that might be a time for us to sit down and have a different conversation. But
I bet that makes your mom happy.
no.
I'm sure it does. I think that's why his mom wants me to be with his brother so badly. 'Cause she's
He
like,
would be-
Andrea's here.
He'd be locked down
She's
here.
ingrained. I got to get him with a girl here.
She lost me. She'd still have him.
There you go.
I love that this
Exactly.
podcast became, had such a divergent.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we are nearing the end of our time. Shelby, is there anything you'd like to talk about? We've asked a lot of questions. I didn't know if anything you just want to touch on. What are some of your favorite stories that you've got to cover while working here?
We had this discussion. It's so hard, and I know you've been
People
there
do that
too.
all the time. Yeah, they're like, "Well,
What's the
tell
craziest
me about that
thing?"
story yesterday." And I go, "I forgot what I did," because you do
I
so
really
much that
do.
you just compress it, and then you kind of move on to the next thing because you focus on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
There's been way too many. But Andrea and I were talking about one just recently that happened where this woman alerted police to some threats that were made on social media against UK. We went out and interviewed her that night. On my shift, UK police alerted us that they had made an arrest in that case, and they told us the woman's name. We got her mugshot. Matching up the mugshot, looking at the mugshot, we were like, wait a second, I think I've seen this woman before. And it was the woman who we talked to the night before. And we were the only ones to have that story. And I mean, it was just a crazy, mind-blowing thing to break in the morning news.
Because you'd already watched that video, that interview with her. Because that's another thing you all do a lot of times. We'll go through go through interviews that we shoot to pull sound bites for other shows.
Right.
So you'd watch that interview. While you were watching that interview, did you have any idea that?
I had no
that
idea.
yeah.
No idea. I mean, looking back, you're like, well,
yeah,
maybe,
you see it
maybe.
afterwards.
right. But yeah, I
Yeah.
had no idea. She seemed to be credible at the time.
Absolutely.
She said that she wanted to
We were
let
all
police
in
know.
I remember
shock.
Angela Reiger, I guess, is the one who did that interview. Her and Matthew went out and shot that. And yeah, she said she felt shook. That's how she put it. Because
Yeah.
she said, I just didn't know. So that was a pretty crazy one. I guess I didn't think about the fact that you all had to deal with that all in the morning.
Yeah, I remember coming down to the set and just bracing the anchor saying, get this.
It was great. When Shelby
This
gets
woman-
excited, he'll come down to the set, which I
Nice.
like. Because a lot of producers don't do that. They'll maybe call us, but Shelby's like, oh my gosh, you guys.
Yeah. I like to let
This
you
is
guys know,
happening.
like, when we're doing something really great, you know, or if there's, like, major mistakes that we need to backtrack on or whatever.
Right.
You know, I was like, I like to just communicate to you guys directly instead of having to go through
I
phone
think
calls
we were
to
all
different channels.
shook too.
Yeah, no, it was crazy.
That's a good way to describe it. It was crazy. It was exciting though. It was just like, wow.
Yeah, there was a lot going on that morning.
It was really neat. Those are the days you enjoy the most, I think.
Yeah, I love, like, the adrenaline rush that you get from, like, breaking news. And
You thrive.
someone said this a long time ago before I ever got into journalism, but the adrenaline rush that you get from breaking news helps make up for the low pay. That still holds true for me.
Yeah.
All right, Shelby. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. I think this has been fun.
I loved it. It was great.
Thank
yes.
you guys.
So that was our conversation with Shelby. Andrea, what'd you think about
Are
that?
you gonna leave in the whimper I just made?
Yeah, that's that sound you just made there where you were like, oh.
Oh gosh, I didn't think that he was gonna call me out the way he did out there, Shelby McCuddy, but that's all right.
I enjoyed that. And it was interesting just to hear about all the different things that he does. I wasn't quite aware of just all of his roles. So, I mean, you don't realize just how much goes into a newscast.
He does a lot. And he's so helpful.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
when I'm out on a story, you know, it's hard to know what's going on back at the station when you're out interviewing people. And he's really good about letting you know any emails we get that we need to look at, you know, things we can do to keep pushing the story forward.
Yeah, all right. Well, I'm glad we got to hear from him. I'm glad we got to say hi to his mom, Laura.
Yes.
That was exciting.
Yes.
And we also got to hear about his brother. We won't get too much into that.
Let us not. Great guy.
So, Andrea, one thing we've been talking about, recommendations. What is
Yes.
yours this week?
Okay, mine is like a decade late, but we were talking
Great.
about TV shows that we really like, and I have just started watching The Sopranos.
Oh, just in time, yeah.
Just in time. Oh my gosh, it's incredible. It's so good.
That's the first time I've heard anybody talk about what a great show that is.
Very funny. Very funny.
I just have you heard about this
You're so
new movie
mean
Star
to
Wars?
me.
Oh, this E.T. It's so great. No, that's good. I mean, here. I'll be honest. That's one of my cultural blind spots. I've never watched The Sopranos. I haven't seen The Godfather. The
Mafia movies
The
are
Wire.
not in your wheelhouse.
I still need to watch The Wire.
I haven't seen The Wire either.
So that's good. So you're watching it. You can kind of just fill me in. I'll get the cliff notes from you.
You need to watch it. It's so good. It is so good. And here's a helpful hint. We've always talked about how we're so frugal. So I don't have HBO.
Did you get it from the library?
Yes.
Nice.
Faux free.
That's how my wife and I watched a lot of Doctor Who. We could get it from the library.
And people just don't think about getting movies from the library, and it's an option. Nicholasville's library is popping. It is always busy, and it is beautiful. They just remodeled. It's gorgeous.
That library is popping.
It is.
Well, I'm glad the library is doing so well. I've also been watching a lot of TV. My wife and I just recently started. Well, I take that back. for a little while there, we weren't watching as much TV, but now we've recently started watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine. We're working our way through that.
And that's a comedy, right?
It's a comedy. It's fantastic. It's like 22 minutes long, so we'll put on an episode or two in the morning while we're getting ready. Another one or two at night once the kids
I love
are
a
bed.
good light comedy.
That's the thing. It's real light. It's real funny.
Sometimes you need that.
Yeah, that's a large part of it, because for the longest time we'd get up in the morning and we would just be watching the news, and she's like, "Oh, this is kind of heavy." And I was like, "Well, it's also my living, so."
Yeah. So I need to do my research.
So now we'll do a little bit of both. We'll do a little bit of news,
shows
then
like
a little bit of
Seinfeld, Parks and Rec, The Office.
Well, that's the thing. We watched. We needed another show to work our way through, because we watched all of Parks and Rec. We watched all of the Mindy Project. We both watched all of The Office. So this was something that we know has 100 episodes. So it's going to take us a while to get through it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I really enjoy. And the main character, he's a young
Andy
man,
Samberg?
Andy Samberg, who loves Die Hard. He's has crippling debt, and his father abandoned him. So I'm really connecting to him.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I've managed to get
Based on your life.
I've managed to get a lot of that under control, but
And he's
I
in
know where
law
he's coming
enforcement,
from.
which is what you wanted to do originally.
Yeah, so I'm watching it like, oh, this is good. So I identify with a lot of it. I've got most of it under control. Don't worry. But my point is, I can sympathize with him. I'm like, yeah, I've been there. So we're enjoying that. Oh, that's not actually my recommendation. I had a food item the other day that I.
Oh, really?
It was Nat's downtown.
Huh?
Nat's. It's a Thai restaurant downtown. Do you know, right next to the giant development, the city center? It's right downtown.
On the same side?
On the same side as McCarthy's. You know where McCarthy's is.
What is that supposed to mean?
Anyway, it's on the same row as McCarthy's. There's the Irish shop, like the Failty, I forget how to pronounce it. So there's a door there, and you can go left to the Irish shop. You can go right to Nat's. It's just a little shotgun type. You can't even eat there, although you can take the food and go over to McCarthy's. But they've got
that's nice.
two dishes that I love. One is just their pad thai, but it's covered in this scrambled egg.
Oh my gosh.
So you have to cut to the egg to get to the chicken pad thai.
Oh, and it just oozes.
Well, that one has a scrambled egg on
gosh.
it, but their other one is called I think it's Kobe basil. So it's like Kobe beef with these basil leaves.
Oh my gosh.
And it's over rice, and that one is served with a fried egg on top. So yeah, you cut up the fried egg and the stuff
There's
oozes out.
nothing better.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh, that sounds
so that's my
so
recommendation,
good.
Nat's.
All right, when are we going?
I mean,
Wash it down
I've gotta
with
work
some
the rest
beer
of
at
the day, but I'm happy
McCarthy's.
yeah, we should plan that.
That
My
would be
wife
really
loves it
fun.
too.
All right, let's
So,
go.
Okay, we'll plan on that.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I love Mandy, so I need
All right,
to hang
everyone.
out with
I
her
do
more.
have another request. If you like this show, tell someone else.
Yes,
We're trying
please.
to let people know about it.
Grow our audience.
We can only do so much. So, I think on iTunes, you can leave a positive review.
You can leave a negative
You can leave a negative review if
but
you want.
we prefer you didn't.
If we really disappointed you, that's fine. I understand that too. But
I get that a lot.
people just disappointing you.
Yeah. No, me disappointing others.
Oh, I got some hate mail the other day.
You did?
Yeah, remember? Didn't I send it to you? They said that it's like Victor Puente thinks he's funny and creative, but he's not. Remember that? They sent it to the main Facebook.
Of course they did. People,
So,
if
you
you
know.
got something mean to say, just say it to us personally.
That's my thing. I was like,
Please
you send it to me
don't say
directly.
it
You
to
don't have to
everybody,
send it to the
then
entire
everybody sees and they're
newsroom.
going to make fun of us so much.
I was like, well, this is a person who was bothered enough to seek out how to send us a message. So at least, it must be a valid complaint.
No, it's not. I mean, you do. I have a weird sense of humor too. So
That's true. I'm kind
we
of
speak
odd,
the
so it's a
same
little quirky.
language.
But and it's weird too because you get hundreds
Nobody's
of
for
compliments.
everybody.
You get hundreds of compliments. People tell you you're doing a good job, and it's like awesome. But like one person sends you a random thing, you're like, oh, I can't believe it.
The only
and
thing
that's what
you
you
think
focus
about.
on. It's
Of
like
course.
realistically.
Oh
things
yeah,
are going pretty
compliments
good.
roll off your back,
Yeah.
but insults stick.
Yeah, like, well, they don't mean that when they say a good job, but yeah. So
It's true.
all right. Well, I guess we just ended on a bummer note. Go have some Nats. Go watch The Sopranos.
Yes.
I'm trying to. I've noticed this table's a lot more sound. Like
And if
you can probably hear
Sopranos depresses you, watch some Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
that. Yeah, there you go.
There you
that
go.
Sounds like a good time. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
That wasn't the.
Bye.
There you go. All right, before this gets any weirder,
Okay, no, we got to start over.